Imagine embarking on a riveting journey through time, tracing the arduous paths African nations tread to claim their sovereignty. Picture the trials they faced, the battles they fought, and the victories they achieved in their quest for independence. Doesn't that stir your curiosity? From the sandy dunes of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin, the continent of Africa is a tapestry of diverse cultures and histories, yet a common thread weaves through them all: the story of colonization and the subsequent fight for independence. Akin to a chessboard, Africa was once divvied up amongst European powers, each vying for control of its abundant resources and strategic locations. This era of colonization not only shaped the geopolitical landscape of Africa, but it also left an indelible mark on the world at large. The effects of this period reverberate even today in the echoes of cultural, economic and political shifts. Today we embark on a journey through time, unraveling the stories of African independence. Buckle up as we traverse this intricate mosaic of resilience, struggle and triumph. Our journey begins with Liberia, the first African country to gain independence. Nestled on the West African coast, this small but mighty nation emerged as a beacon of liberty in a continent otherwise dominated by colonial powers. In the early 19th century, the American Colonization Society, a group composed of abolitionists and slaveholders alike, conceived a plan to return freed American slaves to Africa. Their vision was twofold: to provide these freedmen with a fresh start and to spread Christianity across the continent. The idea bore fruit in 1822 when the first group of settlers arrived on what is now known as Liberia. These pioneers, who would later be referred to as Americo-Liberians, faced many challenges in their new home, including resistance from the indigenous people and diseases unfamiliar to them. Despite these adversities, the Americo-Liberians persevered, establishing settlements and gradually extending their influence over the native tribes. They developed a constitution modelled on that of the United States and, in 1847, proclaimed the independence of the Republic of Liberia. This event was a significant milestone not just for Liberia but for the entire African continent. Joseph Jenkins Roberts, a man of vision and resilience, played a pivotal role in Liberia's journey to independence. Born in Virginia to freed slaves, Roberts migrated to Liberia in his early 20s. His leadership and diplomatic skills were instrumental in guiding the nation through its formative years and securing recognition of Liberian sovereignty by European powers. Yet, Liberia's independence did not mean the end of struggles. The Americo-Liberians, despite being a minority, held political power and control over the native tribes, sowing seeds of social and economic inequalities that would haunt the nation for years to come. The story of Liberia's independence is one of courage and determination, of a people overcoming extraordinary odds to carve out a nation of their own. Yet it also serves as a stark reminder of the complex and often tumultuous path many African nations had to tread on their journey to independence. Liberia's independence marked a beacon of hope for other African nations. Following Liberia, South Africa took significant strides towards self-governance. A pivotal moment in the history of African decolonization, South Africa's odyssey towards independence began in the early 20th century. In the year 1910, South Africa made a monumental leap towards self-governance and autonomy. It was in this year that the Union of South Africa was established, a significant milestone not only for the country, but for the entire African continent. The Union of South Africa was a political entity that brought together 4 British colonies: the Cape of Good Hope, Natal, Transvaal, and the Orange Free State. This union marked the end of the direct rule of the British Empire over this part of the African continent. However, it's important to remember that this was not a straightforward path to complete independence. The formation of the Union was fraught with its share of struggles and complications. It was a time of turbulence, marked by negotiations and power dynamics between the British and the Boers, descendants of the Dutch settlers in South Africa. This was a delicate dance of power, a dance that would shape the future of South Africa. Key figures played instrumental roles in the establishment of the Union. Among them were Louis Botha and Jan Smuts, two Boer war leaders who later became Prime Ministers of the Union of South Africa. Their contributions were pivotal in navigating the path towards self-governance. But although the Union of South Africa was a significant stride towards self-governance, it was not without its flaws. It was a union that excluded the majority of the African population from political participation. It was a union that laid the groundwork for the systemic racial segregation that would later be formalized into the oppressive system of apartheid. Yet despite its complexities, the establishment of the Union of South Africa signaled a shift in the political landscape of Africa. It was a domino effect, setting off a chain reaction that would sweep across the continent. One by one, nation after nation would rise, seeking their own path to independence. With South Africa's independence, the domino effect of decolonization had begun. The winds of change blew across Africa in the 1950s and 60s, marking a period of rapid decolonization. The African continent, once considered a vast expanse of colonial territories, began to redefine itself as a mosaic of independent nations. This era was characterized by an unstoppable wave of national consciousness, a collective awakening that echoed throughout the continent. We begin with Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence in 1957. Under the leadership of Kwame Nkrumah, the Gold Coast, as it was known, broke free from British rule. Nkrumah's passionate advocacy for Pan-African unity and self-determination inspired other nations to follow suit. Just a year later, in 1958, Guinea declared its independence from France. The Guinean people, led by Sékou Touré, chose sovereignty over continued French rule in a historic referendum. Touré's famous words, "We prefer freedom in poverty to opulence in slavery," became a rallying cry for decolonization movements across the continent. Then came Cameroon, breaking the chains of French and British colonial rule in 1960. Ahmadou Ahidjo, the country's first president, navigated the complex political landscape, uniting disparate regions under a single national identity. Cameroon's independence marked a tipping point, accelerating the decolonization process in neighboring countries. This era, this wave of independence, was more than just a political transformation. It was a rebirth, a reclamation of identity. It was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the African people, their resilience and their unwavering belief in the right to self-governance. Each of these nations, Ghana, Guinea, Cameroon and others, played a crucial role in this remarkable chapter of history. Their stories of struggle and triumph were woven together, forming a tapestry of resilience and determination that stretched across the continent. This period marked a significant turning point in African history. The winds of change had swept across Africa, leaving in their wake a continent poised to shape its own destiny. The echoes of this transformative era still resonate today, reminding us of the power of unity, courage, and the enduring aspiration for freedom. However, independence did not come easy for many African nations. The struggle was often marked by bloodshed, sacrifice, and an unyielding determination to break free from the chains of colonialism. In the heart of Africa, we find the Democratic Republic of Congo, a nation that bore witness to the iron-willed determination of Patrice Lumumba. Lumumba, a charismatic leader and eloquent speaker, led the charge for Congolese independence. His powerful rhetoric and unwavering commitment to the cause made him a beacon of hope for his people. However, this journey was not without its perils. Lumumba faced opposition, imprisonment, and ultimately met a tragic end. His legacy, though, lives on, reminding us of the price many paid for the freedom they sought. In the East, the story of Kenya's road to independence is equally gripping. The Mau Mau uprising is a tale of resistance that still echoes in Kenya's national consciousness. The Mau Mau fighters, primarily from the Kikuyu tribe, waged a guerrilla war against the British in the 1950s. Despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, they stood firm, demonstrating an indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. Their resilience eventually led to negotiations that brought about Kenya's independence in 1963. In other corners of Africa, similar stories of struggle and triumph unfolded. From the Algerian War of Independence to the armed resistance movements of Mozambique and Angola, each tale is a testament to the courage and determination of the African people. These struggles were not just about gaining political autonomy. They were about reclaiming dignity, identity, and the right to self-determination. They were about resisting oppression and asserting the right to chart one's own destiny. In the face of immense challenges, these nations and their people fought valiantly. They sacrificed, they endured, and they prevailed. Their stories stand as powerful reminders of the human spirit's capacity to overcome even the most formidable of obstacles. These struggles for independence were a testament to the resilience and determination of the African people. The journey to independence was long and arduous for some African nations. Now let's turn our attention to the last African nations to gain independence. Their paths to sovereignty were fraught with challenges, but their determination never wavered. Among these nations, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Sudan stand out. Zimbabwe, once known as Rhodesia, didn't gain independence until the year 1980. The region was subjected to a long and brutal war of liberation against the minority white government. The struggle was marked by the resilience of key figures like Robert Mugabe, who later became the country's first prime minister. Fast forward a decade, and we come to Namibia. Namibia's independence in 1990 was a result of protracted negotiations, international pressure, and a long-drawn guerrilla war led by the Southwest Africa People's Organization, or SWAPO. Sam Nujoma, SWAPO's leader, became the first president of an independent Namibia. The youngest nation in Africa, South Sudan, didn't gain independence until the year 2011. Born out of decades of civil war with Sudan, the fight for freedom was championed by the Sudan People's Liberation Army, led by John Garang. South Sudan's independence was a moment of triumph, but also the beginning of new challenges as the young nation grappled with governance and internal conflicts. These nations, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Sudan, serve as poignant reminders of the struggles for self-determination and sovereignty in Africa. Their journeys to independence were long and fraught with challenges, but through resilience, determination, and a burning desire for freedom, they emerged as independent nations, each with their unique stories and heroes. These nations marked the end of a long journey towards independence in Africa. As we reflect on their journeys, let's also remember the heroes who fought for freedom, the sacrifices made, and the resilient spirit that brought these nations to where they are today. Their stories are not just about the past, but also about the future. They remind us of the power of resilience, the strength of unity, and the enduring quest for freedom. The legacy of independence in Africa is a complex and multifaceted one. This legacy is a tapestry woven with threads of triumph, resilience, challenge, and opportunity. Decolonization was not the end of the journey, but rather the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter filled with the task of nation-building, of creating identities separate from the colonial powers that once reigned. This was, and continues to be, a monumental task. The challenges of governance, economic development, and social cohesion have been significant. In many countries, post-independence years were marked by political instability, as new leaders grappled with the task of governance. In some cases, the vacuum left by departing colonial powers was filled by authoritarian regimes. Economic challenges were also stark. Many nations were left with economies that were structured to benefit the colonial powers, not the local population. Transforming these economies has been a Herculean task. Yet, it's crucial to remember that the legacy of independence is not solely one of challenges. It's also about the opportunities that have arisen. Opportunities for self-determination, for crafting national narratives free from the shadow of colonial rule. Since independence, many African nations have made significant strides in various spheres. In education, health, and economic growth, progress has been made. Democracy has taken root in several nations, with peaceful transitions of power becoming increasingly common. Despite the challenges, the spirit of resilience and determination continues to drive progress. Let's not forget the cultural renaissance that has been part of this legacy. African music, art, literature, and fashion have flourished and gained global recognition, adding vibrant threads to the global cultural fabric. The legacy of independence in Africa is a dynamic one, still being shaped and reshaped with each passing day. It's a legacy that speaks volumes of the resilience and determination of its people. The story of African independence is a testament to the resilience and determination of its people. It's a story that is still being written, a story of a continent that continues to rise, driven by the indomitable spirit of its people. Our journey through the history of African independence reveals a story of resilience, struggle, and ultimately triumph. As we traced the birth of independent Africa, we journeyed through epochs of history, witnessing the dawn of independence sweep across the continent. Like a domino effect, the winds of change began to gust, fueling the struggle for independence. We've seen how nations, one after the other, rose from the ashes of colonization to claim their rightful place in the world. We delved into the hardships each country faced on their path to sovereignty. From the arduous battles fought in the corridors of diplomacy to the blood-stained fields of warfare, the road to independence was a path paved with sacrifices. Yet the spirit of the African people held strong. We've walked through the corridors of time, highlighting the key individuals who steered their nations towards freedom. These figures, etched in the annals of history, were the torchbearers of change. Their relentless efforts and indomitable spirit echoed across the plains of Africa, igniting a beacon of hope that led to the emancipation of their countries. The last to gain independence, though arriving late to the party, marked the end of an era. It signaled the conclusion of a long-drawn struggle, a testament to the resilience and tenacity of the human spirit. And with that, the map of Africa was complete, each country standing proud and free. We also touched on the legacy of independence, how the struggles of the past have shaped the present, and how they continue to influence the future. The lessons learned from the journey to independence are not confined to the history books. They resonate in the hearts and minds of the African people, serving as a reminder of their past, a guide for their present, and a beacon for their future. While the journey to independence was challenging, the spirit of Africa remains unbroken, forging ahead with determination and hope for a brighter future.